Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? Welcome to the Snowflake Viewpoint, episode 87, where we cover some of the latest news and stories happening in the UK. The date and time of this live stream is the 20th of January 2025 at 8 p.m. UK time. We are dual streaming live on youtube.com/Reganelite and on twitch.tv/Reganelite1. Today is Tea Day, guys. It is officially Tea Day. For those who don't know what that means, it is Trump Day. Donald Trump is officially the President of the United States. There's one or two. I haven't got directly stuff on the inauguration. I'm going to save that till tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss about Donald Trump tomorrow. But I just want to throw a couple of things out there as well. I'm really not feeling great today. I've got quite a migraine today. I have recorded a lot of content, and that's why also I missed some live streams which I'm normally in today, which is why you guys might have wondered why I've been absent in them. I should be hopefully okay for tomorrow, but so yeah, and the weather's not helped at all today as well. Normally I've just been able to brush it off, but yeah, today's not been the best of days for me. But Mad Monk, good to see you there, buddy, and Jao, good to see you as well. Hope you guys are doing well. And our thoughts and prayers are with everyone in America, because obviously it's going to be a very rough ride for them, as it is going to be for the rest of the world. So let's get started. We've got quite a few things to cover. This first story I have from Sky News is actually one I actually deliberately held on to until today, because although there's not a lot to this story because it is a couple of days ago, I really do think this is a conversation we need to start talking about more. And they've tried to brush this away, and I'm kind of annoyed that this has not been talked about more. So this is from Sky News. This was back in Friday, that the Parliament's bar is to close for security review following alleged spiking incident. It's not clear how long Strangers Bar will be closed, but more information will be provided once the review has concluded. So Parliament has a bar that comes out at the expense of us, we the taxpayers, among many other things, which I'm sure people have pointed out in the community tab post that I've done on this on Saturday as well. And it's absolutely infuriating that they have this bar and that they can have all these drinks and it comes just straight out of our pocket. I really would like someone to explain to me how this bar is in some way, shape, or form a benefit to them, or a benefit to us taxpayers, or in any way, shape, or form. Now, as was being pointed out in the community tab on this as well, that if this was any other bar, on the high street, on the high street, or anywhere in the UK, that was caught by the police, for an alleged spiking incident, they would be shut down. And there would be and if they're found to have some spiking incident, there would be repercussions. But of course, as we know, politics and whatnot, because this isn't the same, they are treated indifferently. And I personally want to not just see this bar closed, I want it gone, because they do not need this bar. There is no benefit to it. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of taxpayers' money. And if they want to go and have a drink, they can go and buy one, because they make more than enough money as MPs, or as their second, third jobs, as some of them, or 9 jobs, as one particular MP has. This bar should not be there. It should have been gone a long, long time ago. And I don't know why this is not something talked about more often. But this is just the case of the mainstream media once again trying to keep quiet about it. Don't want you to have a conversation about it. Well, I want to have a conversation about it, because it's my taxpayer money, your taxpayer money, going towards this bar. And you know what? It's what's even more infuriating. We had talks about, and I'm doing this with a goddamn migraine. We literally had Wasn't there a politician that said something about like allegedly putting the spikes in their drinks as well? A conservative politician said this. A minister, a former minister as well, talking about spiking incidents and about improving the laws on spiking to make it more be more powerful laws and that. And here we have an alleged incident in the Parliament's bar. In Parliament's bar, you have an alleged spiking incident. And yet, no one's talking about it. Nobody wants to talk about it. There's nothing more to add. And it's just absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Andrew Luke, Martin Briggs, Stephen Banker, good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. Let's read into this one. So one of Parliament's most popular bars, so there's more than one, is there? It's been closed for security reasons following an alleged spiking incident. Stranger's Bar, which has an outdoor terrace overlooking the River Thames, will close from Monday while a review of safety arrangements is carried out. Get rid of it! It's not clear how long the bar will be closed, but more information will be provided once our review is concluded. House of Commons spokesperson said Stranger's Bar will close from Monday the 20th of January while security and safety arrangements are reviewed. The safety of everyone on the estate remains a key priority for both houses. First response of paramilitary authorities, the investigation has now been passed on to the Metropolitan Police. Spokesperson for the Met said police received reports of an alleged spiking at an establishment in the House of Commons on Tuesday the 7th of January at around 6:30 p.m. The investigation is ongoing and the victim is being supported by officers. There has been no arrest at this stage. No, of course not, because that would be all over the papers if that was the case. MPs returned to Parliament on Monday, 6th of January, following their Christmas break. Politico reported the alleged incident happened in Stranger's Bar, one of the on-site venues of Parliamentary estate that serves alcohol. The alleged victim is understood to be someone who works in Parliament, but not a politician. Okay, that's very important point. Concerns have resurfaced at various times about the serving of alcohol in Parliament, with some saying it should be banned. Yeah, it should be banned. It should be banned. It should be banned. This is not even a discussion. It's going to make my head worse. Should be banned. It's just stupid. It's not right, guys. It's not right that they have these bars. It just shouldn't. Steam Banker, thank you so much for that £5 super chat. I enjoyed the lives. I enjoyed the lives. They've been interested and laugh in the right. I enjoyed the lives. They've been interested and a laugh in the right place. I'm trying to understand that. Sorry, my brain is scrambled. Thank you for that, Stephen Banker, for that £5 super chat. I really appreciate it. Sorry, thank you. I really appreciate it. Chatty Rat, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. There are no free drinks in bars. Whenever members or visitors of bars in Parliament building, they would be subsidized as their heating, power and lighting is paid by the relevant Parliament. Are you sure? Are you sure that we don't pay for it? I'm sure we do. We not pay for the bar? It's still taxpayer money being wasted there. I thought it was taxpayer. Maybe it's me. Either way, the bar should go, and I'm pretty sure most of you are inclined to agree with me. But I wanted to get that one off my chest for a while, since I heard about the story, and it's quite infuriating, one way or another. It's not right. I don't think they should have any bars in any way, shape, or form. They can have lounges. They can have lounges to sit around with. Like, I don't mind. They have a canteen. They don't need a bar. They don't need a bar. They really don't. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm not going to accept. I'm not going to accept that anything else on that, guys. One thing that switching gears from a bar to the big fat white elephant in the room, guys. I'm going to read a bit more into this before I give my thoughts. This is one from the BBC, you guys. So Brexit fishing row heads for a trade court showdown. Let me read some of this for you guys. So the humble Cedar is set to take centre stage in the first courtroom trade battle between the UK and the EU since Brexit. UK has banned European vessels from catching the silvery fish species in the North Sea waters to protect marine wildlife that depends on it for food. But the EU is challenging the move, arguing it discriminates against Danish vessels that fish Cedar commercially, breaching the post-Brexit trade deal. The dispute is now heading for a 3-day trade tribunal hearing after formal talks to resolve the wrangling failed. Without a last-minute compromise, it will mark the first time that the two sides have gone to arbitration under the 2021 trade agreement agreed by Boris Johnson. Britain will lose this case because it's what if we agreed that they could have that they can fish in those areas, they can fish in those areas. It's as simple as that. So why are we fighting a case where we've already signed up for something? Yes, we may not like what we've signed up for it, but that's what the Conservatives did. You're fighting a losing battle here, Britain, on this one. I do not see Britain winning this case in any way, shape or form. The case is due to be heard from Tuesday, tomorrow, next week, at the Permanent Court of Arbitration, next week, Tuesday, possibly. A dispute resolution body based in The Hague by a panel of 3 mutually agreed international trade judges. They could uphold the UK's position in order the UK to change or drop its ban, in which case Brussels could ultimately retaliate with tariffs on British exports if the ministers refuse to comply. So we've been talking a lot about tariffs from possibly coming from Trump, and I'm sure they'll be coming at some point. Yeah, we could get tariffs on us from supposedly our friends and allies across the pond in the EU. Under the trade deal, a final ruling must be delivered by the end of April. Although it could be issued earlier, there is no right of appeal. It comes as the UK prepares for tricky negotiations with the EU over the new catch limits from June next year, which current arrangements under the trade deal run out. So Keir Starmer is also hoping to persuade EU leaders to strike new deals in areas such as security and food trade as part of a wider reset in relations with the UK. Sandel, a group as small eel-like fish species, is a jointly managed fish stock under the trade deal. It is not caught for cultural reasons and is unlikely to be found on restaurant menus in the European capital. But it's a favourite food of other fish species like cod and haddock, as well as threatening seabirds such as puffins and killiwakes. The UK has effectively stopped its own vessels from fishing the species since 2021 through its licensing regime, on the grounds that it is required to prevent overfishing and protect the North Sea ecosystem. Rishi Sunak's Conservative government then banned all vessels from catching the species in English waters of the sea in March last year, with a similar ban in Scottish waters brought in by ministers in the SNP-led Scottish government. It won the UK plaudits from conversation groups which had long campaigned for an outright ban, and Sir Keir's Labour government has kept the ban in place since taking power in July. But it has outraged Danish fishermen who sends our deal to animal feed and fish oil producers, and under the post-Brexit trade deal, hold the rights to fish the overwhelming majority of the EU shell species in the UK waters. And even though, I agree with the case of protecting the species, unless you can win over the conversation with the Danes, unless you win that conversation, Britain can't say nothing, because at the end of the day, we've agreed that they can fish there. That's just pretty much it. For me, I just don't see how the UK can win this case. And the thing is, like, I get the argument point of protecting the species. I get that argument case, but we signed a deal. And I know it's a crap deal, and I know it's not right, but we did sign that deal, guys. I mean, if the UK wins it, I'll be happy, because it means it's protecting the ecosystem. That's how I would see it. The dispute centers on whether the UK's right to restrict trawlers from conservation reasons unnecessarily restricts agreeing EU fishing rights. In its submission to the court, the EU has argued that geographical scope of the ban is not justified by scientific modelling on stock levels, nor the economic and social impacts on Danish fishing communities. In response published by the court, the UK has defended the scientific advice behind the ban, adding that the EU has failed to point out any superior model available at the time. They added that the UK was within its rights to bring in the ban, highlighting that the trade agreement itself commits both sides to take account of the impact of fishing on marine diversity. The UK's decision to continue the ban has been backed by an unlikely coalition stretching across 3 political parties, conversation groups and committed Brexiteers. The renewable energy industry has also taken an interest, arguing the ban helps achieve the necessary levels of seabird resilience to allow more wind farms to be built while still hitting conservation targets. UK has previously estimated Senegal caught in its waters is worth around £45 million a year, a tiny industry in the context of the wider trade relationship. But the dispute will be watched closely for how the judges balance the UK's right to take conversion measures with economic rights. For me, it's about protecting the fish and protecting the ecosystem there. For me, the North Sea ecosystem. That's more of my position on this more than anything. But we'll have to obviously have to wait and see. Like I get the point from an economic point of view from the Danes, because it's always been something that they have fished for and they've always exploited. I get the history there. I understand that context. I really do. But for me, there needs to be striking a balance. It's a real shame that they've not been able to kind of sort this out outside the courts. But I do generally see the UK losing this case. I don't see just simply because of the deal that was signed. I mean, I could be wrong, but the way I look at this is that, it's what we signed up for at the end of the day on this one. And it is a difficult one, to say the least, on this, guys. Let's just have a look and see what you guys are saying. Simon says 55. Good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Caffel as well. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. The question is not banning the fishing of the species. It's the fact that the UK unilaterally decided it, breaking the TCA. They need to go to the mechanism of mediation of the TCA. Yeah. I think whatever the decision, the UK has already breached the agreement by doing it unilaterally. Read Deep Water by James Bradley. It shows how much troubles our oceans are in. And high comment. Thanks, Mithril, for that. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, our oceans are in deep trouble. And that's kind of where I'm sitting. That's why I'm kind of sitting on the fence sitting on that point, to protecting our fishing rights. And it's only going to get worse, unfortunately, on that subject, I'm afraid. The next one I've got for you guys is just a reminder. I'm not going to be doing a Discord after chat tonight as much as I want to, because I've got a bad migraine, I'm afraid. So I'm really sorry. But the next story I've got for you guys is from The Guardian. A very interesting one. I'm not sure. Interesting one from an economics point of view. For those who know their economics a lot better than me. And trust me, I'm not very good at this economics at all. That the UK's second most attractive country for investment, a survey finds. The survey of chief executives published ahead of the World Economic Forum follows an upgraded growth forecast from the IMF. So apparently the UK is the second most attractive country for investment, survey finds. Apparently. I still, like, really? Is that really true? Like, I'm just kind of like, to me, it's like, I know it's a survey, but to me it's like, take that with a bit of a pinch of salt. I have to take that with a bit of a pinch of salt, considering where the situation that the UK is in right now. That's very hard for me to swallow. I mean, of all the problems that we have right now, I mean, obviously we know that Labour are trying to be very, very appealing to British investors right now, to say, please come and spend your money here, please, sort of thing. So we know they're coming that way. Yeah, I watched the Trump inauguration as well. We'll talk a bit about that later. Yeah. But I guess it's a good thing that we have the second most attractive country for investment. I guess if it obviously helps improve the economy, I suppose. I mean, that's the way. I suppose that's the best way we can think of it. From that perspective, I suppose. But do I think this is gonna help grow our GDP and whatnot? It may do, but yeah, until the Labour government gets on top of internal matters, I don't see it's going to save us. But I guess it's a welcome news story if it is true. I mean, it's a good relief for the Chancellor, that's for sure. UK is the second most attractive country for investment, behind the US, signalling the climb up in the rankings according to an annual survey of global business leaders by the consultancy PwC. So published at the start of the World Economic Forum, the WEF, in the Swiss skis resorts of Davos, the survey of almost 5,000 chief executives from 109 countries put the UK in second place, ahead of China, Germany and India. That marks the highest ranking for the UK in the survey's 28-year history. up from the 4th of 2024, and appears to believe some of the gloom that has hovered over the economy in recent months. So, commentating on the survey, the Chancellor Rachel Reeves says, oh, of course she was going to eat this all up. This latest result shows global CEOs are back in Britain, and the UK is one of the most attractive destinations for international development. And this is investment that will help drive economic growth and improve living standards across the UK. She just knew she would grasp at this. You just knew it. Depends on what sort of investment, Reganelite. Just investing in housing or land is not a good thing. Yeah, like to me, like I don't see it as a case of investing to actually improve Britain, but investing to enrich themselves more than anything. I mean, at the end of the day, they're looking to invest, they're looking to make more money for themselves, not really looking for from Britain's point of view, to be honest. From that point of view, but then again, so is with every other business, I suppose. Reeves will travel to Davos Summit herself, taking part in a series of events on Wednesday and Thursday aimed at highlighting the UK as an investment partner. The Business Secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, will also attend. The Chancellor is set to meet business leaders, including JP Morgan Chase, Chief Executive Jamie Danian, and Joe Taylor, President of giant Canadian pension funds, the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan. Oh, JP Morgan. Yeah, I'm sure that's perfectly all right. The UK was singled out by 14% of the Chief Executive survey by PwC as the destinations for most forthcoming capital investment behind the US, mentioned by 30%. Germany 12% and China 9% were the next two economics in line. Germany's battling recession as the election looms, while the outlook for China is particularly uncertain given Donald Trump's plans for sweeping new import taxes. Yeah, I'm going to wake up the next day, I'm going to find Trump's done this, and that, and I'm going to be like, what? Marco Armilio, senior partner of PwC UK, called the findings a vote of confidence in the UK as a place of business and investment. Yeah, but will this business and this is the $1 million pound question. Will it improve our lives? Like, how does this improve our lives? Let's do like growing the economy and whatnot, but people want to feel that they are better off. Like for me, if it means more money in the treasury coffers, if it means that actually money like for public sector workers, then I'm all for that. But yeah, I'm not buying this, guys. I'm not like thinking yippee sort of thing. No, as I've said, I'm not an economics in any way, shape or form. So last week, the International Monetary Fund upgraded its forecast for the UK growth this year to 1.6% from an earlier forecast of 1.5%, driven by Labour's increased investment spending, improved household finances, and a series of expected interest rates cuts by the Bank of England. So they're forecasting growth to 1.6%. I mean, if will they do that? I don't know. I mean, if they hit that if by the end of 2025 we're because we've been on 0.1%, but we haven't had growth, we've had stagnation for a long time. I mean, if we go over 1%, like it'd be a step in the right direction, that's for sure. But I think that's pretty high. That's pretty high forecast, to be sure. Ministers hope the fact that the government has a secured majority, unlike major EU economies such as Germany and France, which face political instability, will increase the UK's attractiveness as a safe haven for investment. Yeah, for a good couple of years, because Labour's got a good couple of years in power, that's for sure. Reeves has come under criticism from some business lobbying groups after October budget imposed £25 billion increase in employers' national insurance contributions, which we know about. Some firms have also raised concerns about the aspects of the government's employment bill aimed at boosting workers' rights. Well, tough. Treasury restates Reeves' commitment to meeting her self-imposed physical rules early this month after a tumultuous few days on bond markets at risk, raising the cost of borrowing for the government. However, much of the move was reversed by the end of last week after lower than expected inflation figures, opening the way for the Bank of England to cut interest rates. This year's Davos Summit will take place in the shadow of Donald Trump's inauguration. The new president will address the gathering by video link on Thursday. Greenpeace Progress has blocked delegates arriving at Davos heliport on Monday. Clara Thompson, Greenpeace spokesperson for Davos, said it's an outrage that politicians, CEOs and powerful elites gather at Davos to debate endlessly on global challenges while the world is burning and people struggle with meeting basic needs and dealing with the worsening climate impacts. There is a way forward. The super rich must pay their fair share of taxes. There is no lack of money to address the climate and environmental and social crisis. It's just in the wrong pockets, and it's time to make the rich, polluting elites pay. Yeah, if only, guys. If only. PricewaterhouseCoopers International Limited 2 is a British multinational professional service brand of firms operating as partnerships under the PwC brand. Thanks for that, Joe. Appreciate it. The same PwC that has a branch here, and it's notorious for its, well, colourful description of some companies that were shell companies that existed only in name here, allegedly, says Joe as well. So it's just financial services. They mean washing dirty money, says Smith for all. So thanks for that, guys. Appreciate it. Yep, Gulf of America. It's going to be the Gulf of America. Well, I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Tomorrow, the Snowflake Corner is going to be at 6 o'clock going forward as well, guys. So if you want to join me at 6 o'clock for World News, and we'll cover more on Trump tomorrow. I've got some today, but we'll cover most of it tomorrow as well. So, yeah. But, I mean, make what you will of it. We'll see. We'll see what these numbers come to over time. That is for sure, guys. But let's talk to definitely someone with some expertise on the New World Order, as he likes to put it, or Trump's New World Order. I've got I don't know if I'll call this funny or not, but it has been a while since we've heard from a Jonathan Pye video, guys. But this one literally came out just as the inauguration pretty much wrapped up here from Jonathan Pye. It is called Trump 2.0, A New World Order. It's about 8 minutes long, so I hope you guys enjoy the rant.
Years ago, he left Washington in disgrace, but looking at the reception he's received today, he has returned a conquering hero. Let's take a look at some of the day's highlights. Who wrote that? A conquering hero? Fucking hell. What's that? Snowflake? Me? Oh yeah, because 4 years ago when Biden won fair and square, all the MAGAs were all going, oh, I'm so sad. Oh, I know, let's go and hang Mike Pence. Who were the snowflakes then? Yeah? I once believed that Trump was a blip, a skid mark of history, and yet, as it turns out, did you see that Piers Morgan has suggested that Trump could win the Nobel Peace Prize? And he might be right, because, you know, this administration, it's going to go for the big boys. Yeah, that famous axis of evil, Panama, Canada, the UK and Greenland. Yeah, he's considering taking the Panama Canal and Greenland by military force and annexing Canada, which is no different to how China talks about Taiwan or Putin about Ukraine. Pure despotism, if that's a word, bullying its own allies by either threatening invasion or crippling tariffs. Step in line or we will destroy you, with Musk mooting that America could liberate the Brits from their tyrannical government. That's after he called on our unelected monarch to mount a coup d'etat. And half the UK clapping like seals, going, well, I'd rather have a foreign invasion than Keir Starmer in number 10. I mean, we know that Trump and his billionaire minions don't respect their own democracy, so of course they treat everyone else's with contempt, unless, of course, they're right-wing populists, in which case, you know, from MAGA to mega. Make Europe great again. They love Maloney, they love Orbán, the AfD, which is as near to actual Nazis as the Germans have gone since, well, the Nazis. This should send a shiver down everyone's spine, but it doesn't. Why? Well, Labour cut winter fuel payments, so I think Elon Musk should decide who runs the country. The spectre of the richest man in the world trying to buy reform into government should give us all pause for thought, but it doesn't, does it? Why? Well, because Rachel Reeve is a twat. What happened? What happened? We lost. That's what happened. The left have lost. We've lost the argument. We've lost our relevance. We've lost the plot. The left have forgotten what being left-wing is, to the point where the left, we're not even on the left anymore. We've handed our natural territory to right-wing populists, right? When I was growing up, Being left-wing was all about freedom of speech and free expression and bridging the gap between rich and poor. But then the left liberal elite decided en masse to abandon the class struggle and instead alleviated the guilt it felt every time it avoided eye contact with yet another homeless person by petitioning the local arts centre for gender-neutral toilets. The Democratic Party amazed that by abandoning the working classes abandoned them. And look at the Labour Party here. Labour. The clue is in the title, and yet they spent half of last year unable to define what a working person is. No wonder they are about as popular as a cancer diagnosis, with many of their natural supporters treating Nigel Farage like the second coming. When you concentrate on diversity quotas rather than crippling economic inequality and tokenistic socially progressive sticking plasters while completely ignoring the poverty-stricken, look what happens. American companies abandoning diversity, equity and inclusion wholesale because now we see that the right have won the culture war because the left have done nothing but try and win the culture war for well over a decade. Although Trump dancing with the village people has probably done more for the gay community than any diversity quota ever could, let's be honest. But when the left ignore people's genuine concerns over immigration for fear of seeming a bit racist, you get nasty, opportunistic populists enacting mass deportations. When the left abandon free speech, the right pick it up and they run with it. And then they own it. And then we get to a point where anyone can say anything about anyone and just label it free speech. Where defamation laws are ignored by billionaire loudmouths, free speech, innit? And the people at the very top can lie and lie and lie, free speech, innit? When the left offer no solutions, people will begin to believe the lies of the right. And so what we get is a capricious, bloated, ill-educated, oppressive authoritarian in charge of the world's supposed greatest democracy, with a drunk Fox News host running the military, a world wrestling mogul running education, and the guy that hundreds of health experts say will be a danger to the nation's health in charge of the nation's health. And that's before we've even got to the head of the all-new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, as it's known, which is there to slash government spending, mainly on Medicare and Social Security. By the way, Elon Musk stopped paying his Social Security payments for this year on January the 1st at 12:15 a.m. thanks to the Social Security tax cap. But Musk believes the only reason the American economy is fucked is because of overspending on public services whilst receiving billions in subsidies. Not so much dodge as tax dodge. When you're that rich, the world is your fucking chessboard. And the three people at the very top of the government have more wealth than the bottom half of America, with a massive concentration of ownership and wealth than at any time in our planet's history. America is, as of midday today, a fully fledged tech bro oligarchy, a dangerous plutocracy of unaccountable and untouchable real-life Bond villain billionaires who between them could solve almost all of the world's problems, but instead they've decided to have a race to see who can get to Mars the quickest, whilst paying as little tax as possible. A new set of world leaders that no one voted for, who have more money and power than any company that has ever existed. And of course, Keir Starmer, understandably, will go cap in hand, hoping to rekindle that special relationship. But my guess is it'll be the sort of special relationship you get when you pick up the soap for a fellow inmate. A new world order. A re-emergence of serfdom, a society where a select few own all the robots and all the money, and everyone else just rots because there aren't any jobs left because the robots have got them. And so the gap between the super rich and the super poor becomes so vast that it is almost like there are two species of human, and a select few will own more money, more power, more data than the rest of the entire world. And at that point, nation states and the role of government and democracy itself becomes obsolete, which sounds terrifying to a snowflake like me. And all because the left have offered no alternative. The Democrats have had a decade to work out how to defeat Trump and the far-right populism, and half of that time they were in power, and they didn't even come close. Well, a chilly day here to say the least, but that doesn't seem to have dampened spirits for the many people who have travelled across the country.
Thank you for that, Jonathan Ross, for your despair amongst us all. But I felt like, I know it was a long one, and I know I just felt that I felt compelled to share that with you guys. And I really want to stress, obviously, there's a high chance that I will have to clip that out of the live stream. So I will say, if you haven't already, if you're not a subscriber to Jonathan Ross, please subscribe to his YouTube channel. If you haven't watched the video, please do go and watch it and give it a like and share and all that kind of stuff as well, because he speaks very much high volumes about the state of the world as well as the UK. And if it's not already a warning shot to Labour, they need to wake the fuck up, literally, as he just rightly said. Because while we might think that because Labour has a massive majority that reform can't gain power, it's to say that social media cannot influence enough people to vote reform. You know, yes, there is still a majority. You know, not everyone is on social media, but it's not impossible. It is not impossible. It's highly unlikely, but it's not impossible for the right wing to take control of the UK government in 4 years' time. It's not impossible to do that, and so Labour really do need to make these next 4 years count. And what you're going to see is a lot of disparagement from people outside who are going to try and damage and try and undermine this Labour government. And while we may be critical and hold this Labour government to account, trust me when I say I would happily have this Labour government been over the Conservatives or Reform UK every single time. The last 14 years of Conservatives speaks for itself. The rhetoric that comes out of Reform is absolutely terrifying, and yet they still think that they see them as saviours, when Nigel Farage has, since he has become the MP for Clacton, has done fuck all for Clacton. Because not a single person has told me like what he has done that has benefited the people of Clacton since he's become their MP. Oh, where is he today? Oh, guess what? Of course he's at the inauguration. He's not going to be in Clacton. So before we carry on with Trump, because the next one does include him, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this live stream. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work that I do, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member. And thanks to all you awesome people who are YouTube members. I really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much. It really does make a massive difference if you're able to financially support me. And I know that's for some people, it's times are hard for some people to be able to spend, and that's totally understandable. But if you can financially support me in any way, shape, or form, please consider doing so. There will be access to custom emojis, access to the members community tab, and for $1.99 members, you get early access to additional content as well. As you guys know, for those who are members, for those who are $1.99 members, you already noticed that there's content already available for you guys as well. Do check out this week as well. I'll put a community post up tomorrow morning as well, but do consider checking out the Rumble and Patreon, guys. There is free, not paid, free content on Patreon from Monday to Friday this week. Additional UK content, if you guys want to check that out. Do check out the Patreon there. That content is free. I know from my paid viewers who are not happy, I have not put up any paid content. I do apologize. It's on my job list of things to do tomorrow. And for Rumble, I've been putting up daily content on Rumble almost every day so far. Quite a lot on the Middle East, quite various different topics I've got this week dropping over the week. So do check out Rumble as well. Video dropping every day at 12 p.m. as well on that platform. So do check out both those links in the description as well. Right, plugs out the way. Let's go to this one here. It's a very interesting one from the iPaper. All things considered. So Trump's inner circle has not forgiven Starmer over a private phone call leak, apparently. Chances are the iPaper, I would say the iPaper, do they always get things right? No. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, do take this with a bit of a pinch of salt. So Trump's team is also understood to be resentful after Labour officials volunteered for the Democrats in what is branded foreign interference in the US. So apparently Trump's inner circle are not happy with Keir Starmer and the Labour government. Shows just how great the special relationship we have with the UK. But this, to be fair, this should not be surprising that they're not sour grapes. But at the same time, like, they know they need to have a relationship with the UK. You know, this idea that, or this premise that, I don't buy this premise whatsoever that the US is going to invade the UK. That's just absolute nonsense. It's just, I'm not buying that at all. I think it's in the interest of the US and the UK to try and have a reasonable and respectful relationship, and I think Donald Trump will have try to have a relationship with Keir Starmer, even if it's not one that benefits either of them, but they will try and do that, so it's for sure. Al Smith, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if people within Trump's team are not happy with things that Keir Starmer has said in the past. So Donald Trump may have given David Lammy a second portion of chicken during the autumn dinner makeup, but tensions between the incoming president and Labour remain, the paper understands. This should be true. I don't think anyone should be surprised by this. So Dan Street and the Foreign Office have repeatedly emphasised the success of that meal, as well as pointing out regular contact between the two sides and lavishing praise on Trump. There was also reports I've seen that perhaps in the next month or two that Keir Starmer's going to go and visit Trump at the White House apparently as well. On the eve of the inauguration, Sir Keir Starmer released a statement saying he knew the depth of friendship between the UK and US would continue, but behind the scenes the picture is not so rosy. The paper understands Trump's team are particularly annoyed at the details of a call between the firebrand Republican and Starmer made it into UK newspapers in early January. Trump apparently became fixated on the number of birds dying after flying into wind turbines in the US, while joking that the coyotes eating the fallen birds were getting so fat that they would need to be given weight loss drugs, reported in the Times said. It is highly unusual for details in such a high-level call to leak, and Trump's team are understood to be particularly annoyed as the reports gave the impression that Britain was laughing at the incoming president, the paper had been told. Oh my God! How did they're laughing at Trump. They're laughing at Trump. Oh, Caffel, thank you so much for that gifted membership. That's very kind of you. Gifted one to Tony Flabbertree. Thank you so much for that gifted membership. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Well, I hope Trump doesn't spend too much time on certain social media platforms because he's going to be mocked a lot. There's a lot of chameleons out there impersonating him as well. Also, we talked about we also had on Friday the Chinese Trump guy as well, didn't we? On the Friday Lights as well. That was fun. Moreover, although Starmer previously glossed over the Trump's campaign's accusations in October that Labour officials volunteered for Kamala Harris's Democrats amounting to foreign interference in the US election, it is understood to be a continuation bone of tension. Oh, for goodness sake. Starmer insists that he and Trump still have a good relationship following the dinner, but it is believed that that briefings that the Republican camp was simply playing politics during the election campaign are based on the view of the incoming president's outer circle, based in Washington, D.C., rather than his closest confidants, who congregate his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. Those in the latter camp include Xbox Elon Musk, who has waged a social media-based war against Starmer's leadership, including sparking a major row in the UK over grooming gangs. Meanwhile, Number 10 remains concerned that Trump could yet block the appointment of Lord Mandelson. I was going to cover that in the next story, but I guess I'm not going to be covering it now. So I guess we're just sticking with 5 stories now that it's been brought up. So the iPaper has been told the first stage of Mandelson's approval in the US so-called agreement was done by Joe Biden's outgoing administration last week, but remains concerns that Trump could block the appointment at the second stage when a letter of credentials is sent to the White House on Peter Mandelson's behalf. So I asked whether the policy of Monday morning, Lambie told broadcasters, well, Peter Mandelson is a man of considerable expertise. So the exclusive from The Independent, which I was going to cover in the next piece, which we're not going to cover now based on the fact that they brought this up here, the iPaper. They said that Trump's team are going to reject Peter Mandelson. They're not going to accept. The exclusive reveals that The Independent revealed that they're not going to accept Peter Mandelson as the US ambassador. So obviously that means they're going to have to pick somebody else. That's what they're claiming in their piece, pretty much. He is the right man for this moment to be our ambassador. He has been a business secretary and Northern Ireland secretary. Of course, he worked in the European Commission. He brings all that is bear working as our ambassador to the United States, and of course we look forward to presenting his credentials to Donald Trump. Lammy once called Trump a racist, a KKK neo-Nazi sympathizer. Meanwhile, revealed Starmer would look to hold talks with the president within weeks. The Foreign Secretary described Trump as a revisionist actor who wants to change the rules of the game, adding, I think when you look at past prime ministers, it takes between a week or a month up to come to Washington. The importance is the strength of the relationship and serious discussions that we have. In the end, we have war in Europe, we have a ceasefire in the Middle East, but it's incredibly fragile, and there are important things malign actors like Iran that we've got to discuss with the United States, and of course, our growing trade relations with the United States. So lots to discuss. I'm very confident that Keir Starmer will be discussing this with Donald Trump within the next few weeks. Lammy has also said it was right and proper that Trump looks at the UK's deal on handling the Chagos Islands to Maduros. I'll also comment on this as well. So, the Chagos Islands deal is dead in the water. So, this is basically what I generally believe has happened here, right? Is Labour wanted to push it through. The Conservatives started it, and then obviously Labour carried on with it. And because Labour carried on with it, the Conservatives bashed them over the head with it. The right-wingers bashed them over the head of it because of sovereignty, blah, 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 blah. And then people in the US were concerned about it as well. Even though that the UK are supposed to go ahead with this deal. But what's going to happen is that Trump's team are likely to shoot down this deal. And the Labour government will simply hold their hands up and basically say, well, at the end of it's not our fault the US government basically vetoed the deal. Labour will hold their hands up saying, not our fault. We can't take responsibility for this. At the end of the day, it was the US administration that did it. That's what's going to happen. That's what I expect to happen. So they're going to use Trump as a shield to not take blame for the deal falling through, basically. Which includes a long-term lease for the US-UK military base on Diego Garcia Atoll, which has been criticised by members of the incoming Republican administration. So yeah, obviously I was going to cover the independence story, but we're not going to cover it now. But pretty much, yeah. So yeah, it's going to be tetchy. But we know it's going to be tetchy with other leaders as well. This next couple of years is going to be very interesting to see how elections take place in Europe, in different parts of Europe, within the EU and the countries, as Trump's administration continues to roll on. Do I expect America to seize the Panama Canal? Maybe. Do I expect them to annex Canada and Greenland? No, I think that's just fairy tale talk, if I'm honest. You can't tell if Lammy is Malaysian or incompetent. He's both. The guy is. Let's be clear here. That guy, he's not someone you can trust, David Lammy, because he's taken bucket loads of money. He's taken more. He's like the Conservatives. He's taken lots and lots of money. He's taken. I think he's taken the most money for second jobs and whatnot. Than any Labour politician. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's not someone you can trust in any way, shape, or form. I mean, he does sometimes say the right things, but sometimes he's just, I don't trust him in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So we're going straight to, I guess, the last story, guys. Here, so just 5 stories tonight. This one, some of you guys may have seen this from Phil Morehouse's video, but I think it's worth talking about, especially given the crisis in British journalism. This one is from Byline Times. So the Sun on trial, Murdoch's courtroom reckoning finally arrives. Could this be the moment that Rupert Murdoch's media empire is finally held to account for its actions? So they're in court. They're in court, and are we going to get retribution? Not holding my breath on it. Should we be doing something about the media and about the power that they have? Yes. Are Labour going to do anything about it? Probably not. But let's hope that something good comes out of all of this trial. So let me read a bit more into this, but I continue to lay my thoughts. And just to see if you guys have anything. The entire world is laughing at Trump and twice as hard at the ones that elected him. They won't be laughing when we're all paying more for a living, unfortunately. We're all going to be paying more for a living, unfortunately. That is the sad reality. This week, a news group, newspapers, NGN, Rupert Murdoch's publisher of the News of the World and The Sun, will finally face trial over allegations of stealing people's private information, including by hackers by hacking their phones and covering it up illegally. In fact, the trial has already begun, with several days dedicated to the judge reading the vast amount of background papers to the case. But on Tuesday, the barristers acting for the claimant, David Shosby, will begin to present the claimant's case to the court, and the public will learn the extent of criminal behaviour alleged to occur at both the News of the World and The Sun. So the claimants who have made this trial possible are the Dukes of Sussex, Prince Harry, and Lord Tom Watson of Rye Forest, and former deputy leader of the Labour Party. The former deputy leader. But before the own allegations are argued in detail, the generic elements of this case are first considered. These are matters which are relevant, essential even to the claimant's cases. but which also go to broader questions about the practices of these newsrooms and the alleged cover-ups. Fundamentally, it will ask, did illegal behaviour, including hacking, happen at the Sun? I think we can all agree it did, from our point of view. When it did happen, who was responsible and who knew about it? This part of the case would also examine that the way the huge amounts of email evidence in relation to its own hacking scandal was deleted by News International, now News UK, which owns NGM. It is an exercise that it describes as an innocent process to mitigate its emails to another system. It later blamed the former Prime Minister Gordon Brown and Lord Wolston for the loss of emails, claiming that emails were lost when they were trying to protect them from being stolen and sold to Brown and Wolston. After the generic elements have been argued, the case will move to the detail of the individual claims of Lord Wolston and Prince Harry. If Prince Harry's case, he alleged that a host of unlawful information gathering, so-called UIGs, was committed against him. This includes blabbing, which is that when personal information is stolen by impersonation, landline phone tapping, and other types of theft of personal information. He claims this was committed by both journalists at both the News Sun and the News of the World, and by private investigators, PI, working on their behalf. Lord Wolston claims he also alleges that these activities took place as well as phone hacking at both titles. Phone hacking is not included in Prince Harry's claim, because a judgment previously found that Prince Harry should have known he had been a victim of phone hacking over 6 years ago, and ought to have brought any phone hacking claim by them. So that's a very key point I want to point out there. The stakes for the Sun have never been higher. Well, we'd like to see the sun set on that paper, if I'm perfectly honest. When NGN had previously admitted that hacking took place at News of the World between 2001 and 2006, they have refused to accept that either hacking or any unlawful activity happened at the Sun too, despite repeatedly agreeing large settlements with other claimants. Claimants who rejected a financial settlement offer must not only win their case, but be awarded greater compensation in court than they would have received in the settlement. Otherwise, they are reliable for both sides' legal costs, an amount which can easily run into the millions. For this reason, NGN's strategy of offering high settlements has been very successful in helping them avoid facing a court case in any adverse findings by a judge. But unless there is a last-minute settlement in the next few days, all that will change next week. The extent of the criminal behaviour alleged to have happened at the Sun will be put before the court and the public, as well as who is alleged to have been responsible and who is alleged to have covered it up. Ultimately, the judge will make findings in all these areas. It is also possible that current serving editors could face accountability for any role they may have had in any unlawful conduct of it or its cover-up. If any of the findings contradict what they have previously said at part 1 of the Leveson inquiry, they may face risk of criminal prosecution for perjury. Piers Morgan? Anyone? Piers Morgan? Piers Morgan? Anyone? Anyone? Just putting that name out there. In opposition, the Labour Party was strongly committed to seeing through the Leveson inquiry part 2, which would investigate the allegations of illegality at the Sun and other newspapers. The press argued that the extent of the press legality is already known, so part 2 is unnecessary. Yet since the election, the government has indicated not to incline to proceed with the Leveson part 2 after all. Desperate perhaps to avoid hostile coverage of its newspapers, the Keir appears to have hitched his wagon to Murdoch despite protagonizations within his own party, which by and large remain committed to action on Leveson and press corruption. A ruling in this case confirms illegality to cover up the Sun would call into question the Prime Minister's judgment on this. Yes. See, this is what I'm kind of hoping. I'm kind of hoping that if they beat the papers, would then the government then impose Leveson too? Like, imagine if they did. Just imagine if they did. Like they did this and then they imposed Leveson too. Like, just imagine that. That would be soul destroying for the Sun. I mean, they would get a backlash from the media. But it would just be a step in the right direction, you know. I mean, I don't expect it, but it would be great if they did. There is overwhelming public support for Leveson's Part 2. The Prime Minister would have to explain why he abandoned the party's long-standing position on the issue, which was subject to promise to victims of press corruption and abuse, which is widely supported by the public, to protect the interests of a news publisher, which could, in the outcome of the case, be found to have broken law and lied about. And for what? Favourable coverage in his newspaper? If that was his strategy, then he has proven himself deeply politically naive. we already know that Murdoch and his media allies are going to do throughout this 9-week trial. They will ignore anything which damages their interests and take shots at the claimants and their witnesses. That's why Hacked Off and Byline Times are teaming up to provide clear eye coverage of the biggest development in this case and reporting on what this case is really about. Allegations of widespread illegal behaviour and subsequent cover-up at news group newspapers. And we will keep an eye on this case, guys. I will keep an eye on it as much as I can, and from them. And it should be. And I recommend if you are also a political commentator or YouTuber in any way, shape, or form, do share and keep up to date on this story. This is a very important story. We want, because if they're found guilty, we want everyone to know about it. We want this blown up, basically viral. We want everyone to know, hey, they definitely did this. This definitely happened. Let's put them right to the sword is what I want to do, guys. And hopefully it may push the Labour government maybe into implementing Leveson 2. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, on that. But I think it's I'm very glad that they brought up this story. I think it's very, very important. I wonder what Hunter Thompson would say about Trump or Borowski, says Jal. Interesting. I may be the only one old enough to remember Bernie Grant, though. You're gonna have to remind me of that one, Mithril. Apologies. I blame the migraine more than anything for me. Filibustering and satirist qualifications for being a modern-day American politician, says Stephen Banker. Tough times to be a satirist, says Caffrell. The UK is the last outpost of woke. What? Defy woke. Can you explain what woke is? Ideology. Can you explain what woke is? Feel free to share what the term woke means. On that. So guys, just before we head out, I've got one more funny video for you guys. Actually, I've got a really good one. Actually, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This news literally broke at the end of the Trump inauguration. So I want to say a massive thank you to Broken News for bringing us this breaking news right off the cusp of the inauguration. Goodbye, USA.
Welcome to Broken News. And the world is preparing to say goodbye to the United States of America. After a good run of almost 250 years, the democratic nation state will close down today. Our reporter has more.
Well, it feels like this moment has been coming for quite some time, and now, finally, here it is. There were, of course, signs from the start it was all going to go tits up, having a temper tantrum early on and kicking the British out when we were doing an excellent job, choosing to drive on what is absolutely and obviously the wrong side of the road, and unilaterally removing the letter U from perfectly good words. Don't even get me started on aluminum. It was, in many ways, a life well lived. A nation that brought so much to the world. Big cars, big medical bills, Broadway, bourbon, Beyonce, Boeing, the Brooklyn Bridge, and barbecue braised brisket. But there were troubles in this nation's history too, when it shot two of the good presidents and none of the bad ones, did a lot of war at ethnics for ages, created its own unfathomable sport which lasts forever and consists mainly of adverts, and of course the mind-boggling culinary crime biscuits and gravy, which in the UK is a sexy game for young hot public school boys. Over the years, the land of the free and the home of the brave became the land of the batshit and the home of the what the fuck are you doing, stop shooting at me, where did you even get that gun, you're 12 years old. It seemed like the writing was on the wall. There have been attempts to save Uncle Sam, most recently a half-assed reboot in 2020 led by a man so old his social security number is 4, and then, after his batteries ran out last year, giving his replacement just 4 days to win an election. That last throw of the dice, surprisingly, didn't work. So we say goodbye to the USA. A sad day for many, although some say they could care less, which doesn't make any sense. It's couldn't care less. Just think about it for a second. Back to you.
Thank you. What a lovely story. That's all from Broken News. You're up to date.
There you are, guys. You are up to date. You are up to date on from Broken News there. Larry and Paul, do subscribe. If you are not a subscriber to Larry and Paul, what on earth are you doing, guys? Make sure you subscribe to Larry and Paul as we wave goodbye to the United States of America and welcome the United Trump of America. The oligarch society now. Well, one of those names anyway. We're going to be describing it as one of those guys. That is for sure. And just before we head out, Alistair Keir, thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships, my friend. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Making my day a lot better considering the migraine I have, guys. I do apologise I'm not on fine form today. DT Slot Racing got one. Liveskin got one. Jim Stevenson, Vice Gilmore, and Mezzalor were all gifted memberships there. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. I really appreciate your support, Alistair. Thank you. Very, very kind of you, my friend. And thank you guys all for coming along today. Thank you guys for all your comments. Let me know what you guys thought of some of the stories that we covered tonight here down in the comments section below as well. I'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. with the Snowflakes Corner. We'll be focusing on like what's Trump done already on day one, because I'm sure there'll be plenty to talk about there. So probably won't even have time to cover other stories, but the Snowflake Corner will be focused on what's happening there. And then obviously we will have Prime Minister's questions at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, as well as Snowflake Watch on Wednesday evening. And then on Thursday, myself and One Angry Pay are going to come together. We're going to be discussing holiday homes as well as climate and sea level rises and all that stuff as well. Because that's really good stuff. I don't have any plans at the moment for a Friday live stream, but that could change as well. And finally, guys, do check out the Rumble and Patreon links down below as well. There's going to be content dropping on them for this week as well, guys. And Cathal, thank you so much for that gifted membership. I just saw you drop there as well. Thank you. That's really kind of you as well. Alexandra L there was gifted a membership. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Stephen Banker, for your super chat earlier as well. Have a good week. I know it's really sad about the inauguration and everything, but just stay positive. Like, distract yourselves with other stuff. You know, we'll just take as my favorite wrestler would always say. She says, one day at a time, and that's what we'll do, guys. Just take it one day at a time, and we'll see how things go. Okay. But just before I go, I should actually check out my friends here. I should take this out because obviously I know you guys want to see them. They are here, and of course, as usual, Ollie has turned off the orb because he is grumpy. I don't know why you're grumpy. You're supposed to be happy now, because people were very kindly very generously supporting the work that we do. So Ollie, Pingu, and Cash, I want to say thank you guys for all your support as well. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support. But the orb is there as well. I just showed the orb in all of its glory as well. So yes, thanks guys as always. But I'm repeating myself over and over again. So let me just go straight to the outro. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. And share this across social media so others are notified of this live stream. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. It really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or you can even join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.